Dell, from dorm room startup to enterprise giant, the long arc of a PC pioneer. In 1984, a 19-year-old in Austin, Texas, started selling computers out of his dorm room. His mission was to cut out the middleman and give customers exactly the computer they wanted, faster and cheaper than the competition. That company became Dell. 40 years later, Dell Technologies is one of the world's largest personal computer makers and a top supplier of servers that power artificial intelligence. But how does a dorm room hustle survive 4 decades of brutal competition? And what lessons can we learn from the way Dell adapted to each new wave of technology? Before we dive into today's story, let me introduce myself. My name is Kai, and this is Liminal Systems. I've always found video essays like this to be the perfect companion, whether I'm working, winding down, or just letting something thoughtful play in the background. They're quiet, they're reflective, and they let us step back and see the bigger picture. If you enjoy that kind of calm, educational space, I'd love for you to join me here. A like and a subscription helps this channel grow, and it means I can keep making videos like this. So settle in and let's begin. The dorm room years. Michael Dell was a pre-med student at the University of Texas. But instead of biology textbooks, he obsessed over computer parts. He noticed that computers sold in stores were expensive, marked up by retailers who stocked inventory that often sat unsold. Customers had to take what was on the shelf, whether they needed it or not. So Dell asked a simple question: what if you could buy directly from the builder? He started PCs Limited with $1,000. Customers called in, specified the components they wanted, and he assembled the machines. It wasn't glamorous, but it was fast, cheap, and efficient. This became Dell's core mission: build to order, sell direct. Why did it work? Because eliminating retail meant lower costs, fresher components, and tighter feedback loops with customers. In 1985, Dell released the Turbo computer. It cost $795, undercutting rivals. In 1988, the company went public, raising $30 million. Michael Dell was 23 years old, one of the youngest CEOs in a public company. The press marveled. A college dropout had built a company worth $85 million in just 4 years. But the bigger question was, could this model scale beyond a scrappy startup? Scaling the direct model. In 1992, Dell entered the Fortune 500. Michael Dell became the youngest CEO of a Fortune company. Factories sprouted in Austin, Ireland, and Malaysia. By selling direct, Dell built a global footprint without the retail networks others relied on. But scale didn't just mean more computers. It meant supply chain mastery. How do you keep costs low when technology cycles every 18 months? Dell's answer was just-in-time manufacturing. Just-in-time, or JIT, is a supply chain method pioneered by Toyota in Japan. The idea is simple. Don't hold parts longer than necessary. Instead, schedule deliveries so components arrive right when you need them. The upside is lower costs and less waste. The downside: if shipments are delayed, production can grind to a halt. Dell was one of the first American computer makers to apply this model at scale. Dell also pioneered something called negative working capital. It sounds like a bad thing, but in Dell's case, it was genius. Customers paid Dell upfront for their computers. Dell, in turn, had 30 or 60 days before it had to pay its suppliers. That cash flow let Dell expand without needing heavy loans. Few competitors managed to replicate this trick at scale. In 1999, this model made Dell the #1 personal computer maker worldwide, overtaking Compaq. But the question loomed: how long could efficiency alone keep Dell ahead? The dot-com era and after. When the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, many tech firms collapsed. Dell's lean model helped it survive. Inventory risk crushed Gateway, but Dell stayed nimble. By 2001, Dell had revenues over $30 billion. The company seemed unstoppable. But the market was shifting. HP acquired Compaq in 2002, creating a personal computer giant with retail distribution Dell couldn't match. In 2006, HP overtook Dell as the world's #1 personal computer maker. Market share in the 2000s was brutal. HP and Dell traded the #1 spot several times. Apple, with its iMacs and MacBooks, carved out a premium niche. Gateway and others collapsed entirely. In this landscape, staying #1 wasn't about who built the fastest computer. It was about supply chains, distribution, and marketing budgets. So Dell asked, what comes after personal computers? Michael Dell stepped down as CEO in 2004, but by 2007, performance faltered and he returned. It was clear Dell needed reinvention. The first attempt came in 2009 with the $3.9 billion acquisition of Perot Systems, a step into IT services. But Dell's brand was still anchored in low-cost computers. The pivot stalled. Going private. By 2010, personal computers were shrinking. Smartphones and tablets cut deep into sales, and Dell's stock price fell. In 2013, Michael Dell and Silver Lake Partners took Dell private in a $25 billion leveraged buyout, one of the largest in tech history. A leveraged buyout uses borrowed money to buy a company. Most of the deal is financed with debt, secured against the company itself. It's risky. Too much debt can sink the business, but the reward is freedom from Wall Street scrutiny. For Michael Dell, it was a bet on his own legacy. Outside the public eye, Dell cut costs, streamlined operations, and rebuilt its foundation, preparing for an even bigger move: buying EMC. EMC and VMware. In 2016, Dell acquired EMC for $67 billion. It was the largest technology deal of its time. EMC built storage systems used by the world's largest companies. It also owned part of VMware, which gave Dell a strong position in virtualization. Virtualization is software that allows one physical server to run many virtual ones. This became the backbone of modern cloud computing. The acquisition transformed Dell from a PC maker into a full-scale enterprise giant, but it also left the company burdened with enormous debt. In 2018, Dell returned to the stock market. In 2021, it spun off VMware to simplify its structure, leaving two clear engines: personal computers and enterprise infrastructure. Dell today. Dell's story did not end there. In recent years, the company has changed again, this time focusing on artificial intelligence and data systems. The personal computer division still sells large numbers of machines. It keeps the Dell name visible in homes, offices, and schools. But the real growth now comes from the infrastructure side of the company, which includes servers, storage, and networking. In 2024 and 2025, demand for artificial intelligence servers grew very quickly. These servers are racks of computers filled with powerful graphics processors and fast connections. Each rack can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. Big artificial intelligence projects now bring in more money than laptop sales ever did. Dell reported near record income in 2025, with billions coming from these advanced servers. But the company still faces challenges. There are limits on the supply of processors. Dell also depends heavily on one main supplier for chips, and competition from other companies is strong. Even so, Dell's journey is impressive. From hand built computers in a college dorm room to running the data systems of the world, Dell has spent 40 years adapting, surviving, and reinventing itself for every new age of technology. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. I am still new here on YouTube, but I am not new to media production. Telling stories about technology, innovation, and the people behind it is something I truly love to do. There is more to come. Stay tuned and stay curious. From the seen to the unseen, this is Liminal Systems.